It's the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm back. Are they back? We'll find out next season, I guess. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, also known as Smoke, or in some parts of the country, Stack. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com actually, for 50% off your first year. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms, so double bang and thumb and comment and all of that stuff. Shows have been a little light the last 2 weeks. As I've mentioned, I've been away. I've just come back a few days ago. I was over in Zambia and in South Africa, and now I am back and I am ready to go. Today we've got the Philadelphia 76ers. Tomorrow is the NBA draft lottery. So we'll do our traditional first mock draft, which is just lottery picks only. And then we start to mix in NBA draft content along with season review content. So that's what's coming up. All right, let's get in here. It is International Nurses Day. Here as we talk Philadelphia. And I think the Philadelphia 76ers season can be summed up. You could sum it up, I guess, in one way by saying, yes, Embiid. Paul George is bad. You could say that way. I think the number one way to sum up the way that we view it from a fantasy perspective is pick protection. Because pick protection's a thing that obviously facilitates, it's a lubrication for trades, but it creates a lot of tanking issues, some of the worst tanking issues you'll see. And this was the worst tanking team in the NBA because they needed to get themselves as far down as possible to maximize the chance that they would hold on to their top 6 protected pick, which goes to Oklahoma City. And we will find out tomorrow whether they actually are able to do that. So let's just go in and give a bit of an overview of this Sixers team and how the season... We all know that it didn't go well. They finished 24-58, which honestly, if you had discussed that in the preseason, I probably would have kicked you in the head, honestly, because that might have made things better from a mental standpoint. Nobody could have seen this. Well, I mean, we could see that Joel Embiid would get injured. That is why I said do not pick him in the first round. I was still wrong in saying I'd take him probably in the second round. I didn't know, but I had a fair idea his knee was done. I'm still considering that his knee is done, and I would not pick him inside the top 3 rounds in any fantasy draft from here on out. But 24-58 is insane. Like, we had other injuries. We had, I don't know what happened with Paul George. It was a crazy season. So they have 2 picks in the upcoming draft. They could have pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. But that's it. Because if it goes to 7, they're done. It goes to the Thunder. So it's a 36% chance that the pick goes to Oklahoma City. The fact that they were able to get into the 5th worst record gave them this 64% chance of keeping it. If they had the 6th best record, it was about a 45% chance of keeping it, I believe. So they tanked as far as they could. They got the result that they needed to keep that pick. They would be hoping that obviously it goes to number 1. Whether it goes there or not, that's not my business. They got 10.5% chance to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2.2% chance at pick 5 and a 20% chance at pick 6. The most likely outcome, 27% chance, or 26.7 to be exact, is pick 7, which means that the Thunder would get the 7th pick in the draft. We will see whether that actually happens or not. Free agency for this team. Kyle Lowry and Guerschon Yabusele are the only 2 unrestricted free agents on this team. Lowry's 1 million years old. Really don't think he's going to be back. Yabusele, they're going to be restricted in how much they can pay him just because he signed a 1-year contract. So they can't go to big numbers. There's bird rights and all that sort of stuff. He was good. I think that there are times he was a little bit overrated. He was definitely better than his first run in the NBA, but it's hard to judge a lot of the stuff that he did this season. In terms of player options, you got 3 guys with player options. Kelly Oubre Jr. has an $8.4 million player option. Andre Drummond has a $5 million player option, and Eric Gordon has a $3.5 million player option. Now, given how Eric Gordon played and then the injury at the end of the season, he will pick that up. Andre Drummond was also terrible. He was injured too. He is old. He's not as old as some of these other guys, but his one's a little bit different. I think that he wasn't happy in the situation in Philadelphia. I don't know that he necessarily makes $5 million somewhere else, but I think he could get league minimum, so he might be willing to forego $5 million and get a $3 million league minimum contract somewhere else. I'm not certain that he's back. Oubre at $8.4 million. Kelly Oubre has played the free agency game so many times and lost every time that I think with $8.4 million on the table, there is a risk that he goes out there, nobody signs it because I don't think he's a winning player, and he is left again without a chair to sit on, and he gets a minimum deal. I think he picks it up. Even though you might say he's definitely worth more than that, he has been bitten by that twice, and I don't think he necessarily takes that risk. 3 team options, guys that they signed late in the season. Lonnie Walker IV, who just had a Lonnie Walker season, not very good. $2.9 million team option, very easy to decline that to create more space. Jared Butler, who came across in that Reggie Jackson trade, which I don't know what Washington was doing there. $2.3 million team option. I think they picked that up. And Justin Edwards on a $2 million team option, after they converted his two-way deal. Pretty sure they'll pick that up as well. Thought he was impressive enough to at least be able to work into a rotation player. The big free agency decision is going to be Quentin Grimes, who came across in, again, a heist of a deal from the Mavericks. That's pretty stock standard these days. Grimes' production, obviously, was buoyed by the fact that Embiid was out, and then George was out, and then then Maxey was out. He's a good player. I like him as a player. Of course, Jared McCain was out. So his market is going to be really interesting. He's a good player. He's a starting caliber player. He's a ramp-up player. He's a ramp-down player. He's a defensive player. He's a shooter. He's a passer. He can do a lot of things. I would be, if they could get him for anything less than $15 million a year, I think it's a good deal. But we will see. Restricted free agency is tough. And then you got Jeff Dowtin Jr., a two-way guy who is like old. We'll talk about him in today's show. And Jalen Hood-Schifino, who, I wouldn't say that anyone's going to be rushing to grab him. And then there are 2 non-guarantees. Ricky Council IV, who had some flashes. I wouldn't say he was super impressive. The second guy was, though. And that is the big man himself, the ED legend, Adem Bona. He has $1 million guaranteed on his deal. They will 100% pick up that contract. They will fully guarantee that. He was good. He is going to be, at bare minimum, an NBA backup center who might be able to have some seasons of it being a lower-end starting center. I'm going to say Rashawn Holmes-ish, who had really good fantasy seasons, not a guy you want to build around as a starting caliber anchor center for 10 years. But if he had to be your center because of injury, hello, Joel Embiid, or you're like, hey, I don't know what sort of production we're getting out of our center spot, Bona is going to be good enough for that. So I do like him in Dynasty. He projected well coming into the season, and he basically lived up to everything we could have hoped for. We'll come back and talk about those players in a sec, but today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash and their 50-point promo. NBA fans, it's the playoffs. We know this. Unless you're a home team, you're going to lose games. But as a road team and as someone with Dash Pass, you can win. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk. That's the thing that happens in basketball. Slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 25 NBA playoffs. It is called They Swoosh. And you score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more, use the code WINGSTOP50 at checkout, and that combo is yours, crispy, delicious, and totally free. The offer is valid noon to midnight the day after the game. Of course, terms as always going to apply. Who do you think? Who do you think's going to drop 50 in the playoffs? I don't think that at this point anyone has scored 50 in the playoffs, but that means that one is just around the corner to get that free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop. So sign up for Dash Pass and unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 plus in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab the free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with the $20 plus order, and the code WINGSTOP50. That is Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. All right, let's get into talking about these players of the Sixers. We're in this show, as we do in all these ones, we're talking about the 25 and older. Later on today, we're going to do the 25 and under players. So we'll just get straight into the number one guy here, the best player on this team, the best player in the league at times, the best player in fantasy at times, and of course, it's Joel Embiid. But Joel Embiid is, I think you know the drill. You know the story. We know that Joel Embiid played 19 games. I said I am not touching this man in the first round. I would take him at the start of the second round if he fell there. In the end, he did start to fall there. We saw the pushback. People did start to buy into my line of thinking. And I think if push had have come to shove and I was presented with Joel Embiid at the beginning of round 2 in any draft that I did, I don't think I would have done it. My initial position was that I would take him there, but obviously didn't work out that well. And if you took him there, it was a bad call. I will not take him. I am very certain of this. In anywhere inside the top 3 rounds. In fact, probably wouldn't take him inside the top 50 because I know that all of the medical history suggests when you have had multiple knee surgeries on your meniscus, it doesn't get better. You are at risk of it getting worse, and that is exactly what I said in this preseason. It played out exactly like I said, and I don't think that's improving. He's going to have another knee surgery. It's going to be bad. But it wasn't just that. His per-game numbers were down too. He was 17th on a per-game basis for head-to-head. He was 22nd in points leagues. He was just not good enough. Those advanced stats are pretty rough. His DPM delta, one of the worst, well, literally zeroth, not a real word, 0 percentile. Meaning nobody got worse more than him. Drip had him in the 33rd percentile. Look at his rim contest numbers, 49th percentile, bro. What are you doing? Even his passing creation is down. His time on ball, 66th percentile. His offensive load, which again is part of the Paul George edition, but 97th percentile. This man was like 101st percentile in previous years. He averaged 24 and 8, under a block, 44% shooting, under 30 from 3. Just bad numbers all around for the player that he was. Will he have better seasons? Yeah, I think he will. But do I care? From I'm drafting this guy or investing in him? No, because I'm done. We're done. I am not a do not draft person because we've seen all the time. Injuries are fickle unless it is one specific thing that has no chance of actually healing long term. And that's what this is. So I'm done. I won't draft him. I won't trust it. Even if he has a run of a top 5 player next season and he plays 60 games somehow, I don't care. It is a ticking time bomb. And I would not invest a high pick in it. And that is just my process on all of this. I've been relatively consistent. I think relatively consistent on that. And you might say you haven't because you say injury prone doesn't exist. And that's not what I say. What I say is that you can't rely upon someone to stay healthy. Staying healthy does not mean that you will remain healthy. Or fluke injuries, you break your finger, doesn't mean you're likely to pull your hamstring in the next game. Nothing, that's luck. Multiple meniscus surgeries, same knee, cooked. That is where we're at. It's also, even though Kawhi had a really strong end to this season, I still won't touch him because I know that those multiple knee injuries, they can blow up at any point. And that is exactly where we are with the big fella Joel Embiid. Now let's talk about, honestly, one of the most confusing situations in the entire NBA. And it's Paul George. Because, I was absolutely very wrong on Paul George this season. I thought that George would be worth the 3rd round pick until he hurt his knee in the preseason. Then we eased off that into about the 40s and 50s range. Paul George, and again, people hate Paul George for whatever reason. I get it to a degree, but there's an unnecessary level of hate around Paul George. He was an all-NBA level player in the 23-24 season. He was unbelievably good. And I thought he would come in, and he's got the ability to ramp down usage a little bit, but I didn't think that he'd be as bad as he was. It was like he averaged 16 points a game, 5 rebounds. He still had 1.8 steals, but 36% shooting from 3. He's better than that, but that's not a terrible number. 81 from the line. Why did that dip? 43 overall. Terrible. But why his usage at 23? I thought he'd at least maintain 25, especially with Embiid out. Tyrese Maxey is a good player. Paul George was an all-NBA player, a top 15 player in the NBA. And I thought that he'd at least maintain 24-25 usage, but he didn't shoot. He didn't pass. He didn't rebound. The numbers, the scoring part of it in particular is really troubling. He was 56th in head-to-head league. So again, once he had that injury in the preseason and then injured it again like at the beginning of the year on the knee, which again wasn't something that was a problem heading into the year. And it wasn't one of those, it's not one of those, Paul George has developed knee soreness, which again, that is where you get into the more prolonged, recurrent injury, where you have the red flag go off. Paul George has had problems in the past with injury, but we saw him on the court and the knee hyperextend. We saw it happen. That's not a pain tolerance thing. That's not a Hey, random swelling out of nowhere thing. That is your knee went the wrong way and we saw it on the court, bad, then came back and did it again, bad. And I reckon that set him back a lot. He is 35 though. So we're 100% not targeting him in the first 3 rounds. We're not doing anything like that. The usage part is going to be a problem. But I do think that, again, you're joining a new team. The new team was supposed to have Embiid and then it didn't. And then you get 2 knee injuries and then he had whatever, I don't even know what it was at the end of the season, a groin problem, which is a little worrying. I don't think we really can take him in the top 50. His points league numbers were down as well. But I would be surprised if George was only a 16-point per game scorer next season. He is better than this, even though we know that we're at the cliff here. We're talking about guys dropping off. Look at his Darko and his DPM deltas, or his DPM and his drip deltas, 4th and 6th percentile. That's terrible. His deflection rate, high. Rim contest numbers, pretty good. Passing volume, pretty good. Offensive load, 81st percentile. I thought that would be higher, and that's part of where I got it wrong. And I did fade after the knee injury in the preseason, but not far enough. I think there is a small chance that George ends up a little bit of a bargain player in drafts next season, but the age that he's at, the soft tissue to end the season, and the Embiid complicating factor is going to make it difficult. But he is a player where I think you don't go, he's 35. He's old, right? I don't think we necessarily think that he's as old as he is. And when you're at that age, getting improvement is really tough. So I think he can have a better season than this last one. But I'm not going to put any eggs into that basket. I'm not ruling him out. I'm not touching this guy ever again. I think that's silly for a player like Paul George. But it was an incredibly disappointing season where there were just things that happened, and I don't really know why he fell off that far. Is it new team? Was it knee injury? Or is he washed? It could be any of those things, honestly. Let's talk about Kelly Oubre, who is a player that I will maintain that this is the correct way to view Kelly Oubre. If a team is fully formed, he's useless. He has had some moments of fantasy success because players around him fall, he plays, he gets 1 million minutes, and he gets a lot of usage. And if this team was healthy, with McCain, Maxey, Embiid, and George, you wouldn't touch Kelly Oubre in fantasy at all. He ended up a top 100 points league player. He was 102nd in category leagues. He was 74th after the deadline. Of course, like every other player, his season ended early as they tanked. He had only 18 usage and played 35 minutes. He averaged 15 and 6, but this is the problem, right? Under 2 assists, 1 3 a game only. He shot 75 from the line, under 30 from 3. He did have pretty good steals, and he's been a little bit more consistent with that lately. But I just don't think he is good. And I think he needs big volume, big minutes, and honestly just guys tumbling like dominoes around him in order for him to have relevance. And if this team is serious, it'll be Maxey, McCain, George, Embiid, and then whoever at the 4. Maybe it's George, maybe it is Oubre that plays. He's not a 4, he's a 2-3. Or is Yabusele there? But regardless, he won't be put into the position, I don't think, that he was his last season. He is only 29. Maybe he is a free agent and goes somewhere else. But he has not got a good fantasy game. His numbers at the moment are actually buoyed by that steal number and by the fact that he was able to play 35 minutes a night. That is how he has success. I don't view that as a long-term thing. Now, again, you can look at these numbers. 41st percentile offensive load. He did it as a low-usage player with players out, which is surprising. He did it through defensive stuff. He wasn't playing on ball. He doesn't pass, ever. He did it through volume of minutes and playing well defensively. I still don't think he's good. I think he's, again, one of those players who has flash because he's sexy, but he's also like, he'll have the good moments, but overall, it's just not a compelling stat set. He's one of those guys, again, who will have those, wow, look at that, 78% from 3, 7-9, what a game. And then you look at in a month's time and he's shooting 29%. That's who he is. It's nearly always who he's been. He's a better shooter than this, though. He is better than this. But not someone that I care for. And at the way things sit at the moment, I don't really see why he would be someone we'd love for fantasy. He's 29, so he is starting the downside. And I would have some significant worries about having any reliance on Kelly Oubre. We've got Yabusele, Drummond, the big names and Lowry and Eric Gordon coming up. But don't worry, we'll talk about, I think one of the more important ones there is going to be Yabusele and even a Jeff Dowtin who had some numbers at the end of the year. We'll get back to that in a sec. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. You check into your bank account and get, where's it gone? Where's the money? Where is my cash between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. And that is where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So don't just manage your money, start building wealth. When you get in there, you can check, hey, what is this? All this money on food delivery come on? And you set yourself budgets and targets and understand how the best way is to limit that spending and put it into other areas that make more sense for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off for your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by the big fellas, the big rooters, over at Hungry Root. There's always something going on in everyone's house. It's work, it's social, it's family, it's kids, it's whatever. It's busy season, pretty much all season. You don't have a lot of time to do that grocery shopping or get healthy meals into your home. And that is why Hungry Root is like your own personal shopper and nutritionist wrapped into one. They take care of the grocery shopping, the meal planning, personalized recommendations based on your tastes and health goals as well. It tailors your orders, the old Hungry Root does, based on what you liked in the past and what you didn't like, what you want to do with your diet, what your family needs, all of that stuff, and it is sent directly to your door. The meals come together in 15 minutes or less, giving you more time for workouts, for family, for hobbies, for whatever other tasks that you need to do. Take advantage of this exclusive deal. Get 40% off your first box, plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA. That is hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for 40% off and a lifetime free item. A lifetime of free rooting. Hungry Root. Get in here. All right, so let's get into looking at this next group of players. Let's talk about Guerschon Yabusele, who was drafted by the Celtics in the first round, washed out, went over to France, played pretty well, sort of under the radar, but where he really stood out was the Olympics. He played some small ball center there, and the Sixers went, all right, we're in. They signed him in on a minimum contract. He came in, and he played really well. He was the 154th ranked player head-to-head leagues over the course of the season. 163rd in points leagues, averaging 23 fantasy points. He is 29. That's worth mentioning. He is 29, so he's right prime, little marginally post-prime. He averaged 11 and 6 with 2 assists. He shot 50% from the field, 38 from 3. But he's a center. He averaged 0.3 blocks, 0.8 steals. He played 27 minutes with 16 usage. Yeah, I guess technically he is like a power forward, but he played a lot of small ball center. What is interesting is that after Joel Embiid was done, post-trade deadline, he was 215th. Obviously not very good. The Darko and the Drip deltas are very different. Drip must have not had him really in the system, so he's 99th percentile in terms of improvement. Darko did have him in there, so he's 42nd percentile, so that's not that good. He's a low offensive load guy. He contested a lot of shots, 94th percentile, but didn't block them, which is interesting. That's good defense, but not good for us. And ideally, you don't want him playing center. I don't think. I think that's where a Dembona comes in. Yabusele as a backup 4, solid. Fine. He shot the ball well. But overall, 11, 5, and 2 with 0.8 steals and 1.5 threes in 27 minutes. No one's getting a Dem out of that. It's whatever. Does he get better than this? Probably not. This was the season. This was the opportunity. Drummond hurt. Embiid hurt. No one else there. Maxey hurt. He would start and he'd do nothing. So is he a useful enough rotation play? Is he? And I know sometimes we get lazy, or I get lazy maybe, in terms of comparisons, and sometimes it's the visual comparison that gets in it, and I look at him and go, is this like Grant Williams? Because that's what it feels like. An undersized guy who plays center, who does smart basketball stuff, shoots not bad, but low volume, doesn't generate stats, and doesn't really do much for fantasy. And that's sort of where I sit with Yabusele. Not someone that I'm going to get excited about. The opportunity was there this season for a full breakout. Didn't happen. Had some moments. And now we don't even know where he's going to be. Will he come back? Will he go somewhere else? I wouldn't be penciling him in as a starter anywhere. Now we get into a little bit of the dregs. Lonnie Walker, who for some reason has the NBA community in one of the biggest chokeholds of all time. I can't believe Lonnie Walker's not signed. I can. He's bad. And that is why he didn't get signed. And that is why he went to play in Lithuania. Did he play for Velgris? Is that right? I think so. Anyway, that doesn't matter. He came over at the second half of the year. He ended up playing 24 minutes a night. And honestly, this is as Lonnie Walker as it gets. This is what Lonnie Walker is. He was 260th post-deadline. He finished with 21 fantasy points in 24 minutes. He played 20 games with 22 usage. He averaged 12, 3, and 2.5. He shot 42 and 35 from 3 with 80 from the line. He hit 2 threes. He is a volume scorer who is bad at it and not efficient and doesn't defend, doesn't pass, doesn't rebound, needs everyone out with big usage to put up mediocre numbers, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen for Lonnie Walker. Yeah, maybe they bring him back on a team option. He is not a rotation player on a playoff team. He will have the occasional good game, but I don't really care. Again, Darko and Drip differ on his delta. Darko saw him at 12th percentile in terms of improvement because, again, what did he do? I don't think he did anything good. Drip bumped him up, and I guess some of that, again, I think is part of just not being there for most of the season. But 75th percentile in load. His rim contest numbers are very high, which is curious, but I don't think it means anything. Interestingly, he blocked the same amount of shots per game as Yabusele did. Okay. I just don't see it. He has never had a good fantasy game. He has never done anything to suggest he was good for 10 or 12 or 14 team league fantasy teams. He's had opportunities on teams like Brooklyn and Boston, and he was in Boston in camp and they cut him, and now in Philadelphia, and literally nothing here suggests let's get into the Lonnie Walker business. You could disagree. I feel like that this is the sort of profile of a player where you should just stay far away in fantasy. And I think Lonnie Walker, in his particular case, has shown that if you have stayed away and haven't bought in, you have been correct. Andre Drummond. I'll be honest with you. I know you'll say, Josh, there's no way. He was a better player last season than Nikola Vucevic. He was this Bulls' best center. He reeled himself in. He played a very strong role. And I thought he'd be a very good backup for Philadelphia. Now, there were people going completely over the top in drafting him because they thought that he would be like this, pick him at 110 or something like that. I was fine to take in the last round, but I was also of the belief that I'm not sure Andre Drummond is good enough at this point in his career that, in the games that he starts, is he going to be a top 50 guy? Or is he going to be a player that is the 100th best player when he starts and then he's 200th when he's on the bench? Because that's not worth drafting as a handcuff. That's not worth it. He was just way worse. He played 19 minutes a game. He hurt his toe. He's 32. He was 262nd pre-deadline and then 238th after it. Darko had him 3rd percentile for improvement because, he was terrible. He didn't contest shots. He was incredibly low volume, 29th percentile on offensive load. He averaged 7 and 8, half a block, free throws at 62, which is an improvement for him. He was just bad. Honestly, he was terrible. He was outplayed by Yabusele. He had opportunities to start when Embiid was out, and he wasn't good. Simple as that. In those games he started, we didn't go, you've got to have Drummond. Look how good he is. He was not. He had a couple, I think he had one 2020 game. But overall, I thought he was incredibly disappointing. And he's 32. I would suggest that he's pretty close to washed. If you much like with Yabusele, but if you're in this situation where it is the time, Embiid is not there, show us what you can do, and you don't, and you're this age, I would be a bit cautious about that ever becoming good again. I don't know. Kyle Lowry, I'm not going to talk much about this. He's incredibly low usage. He's 39 years of age. I don't know why he came back and played those 2 games at the end of the year, but he averaged 13 fantasy points. He played 35 games, 19 minutes, under 10 usage, 4 points with 3 assists, 0.9 steals, shot 35%. It's been a great career. He's somehow turned himself into probably a Hall of Famer as a second-round pick, bouncing from Memphis, Houston, Toronto, Miami, now Philadelphia. Charlotte, didn't play a game there. But done, finished, not good. Nothing to really talk about there. Eric Gordon, I thought, had a chance to be an interesting player. Came across from Phoenix, signed a similar contract with Philadelphia. He had wrist surgery, but I think at 36, he is also washed. 328th in category leagues, 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. He shot 41% from 3, that's good, but can't get the volume up, can't defend anymore, doesn't do anything else. It's like a worse Lonnie Walker, which, if you want to be described as a worse Lonnie Walker, well, you're in some real trouble. I would imagine that he picks up that player option because I don't think anyone would want to sign him otherwise, and I could imagine the Sixers cutting him anyway. Yeah, done. Let's talk about two guys who showed out at the end of the year. Alex Reese was signed by the Thunder as a two-way guy. Had a couple of games early on, then they cut him. And he ended up over here when they were in full tank mode, and he ended up playing 14 minutes a night. He's 26. He is still under contract as a two-way guy next season. Average 5 and 3, 0.7 blocks in 14 minutes. He's 37% from 3. He's a center. They're good numbers. He is 26 though, and part of what I don't love about what Philadelphia did this season was, at the end of the year, you're playing these guys, but Lonnie Walker's 26, and Alex Reese is 26, and Jeff Dowtin, who we'll get to next, is 27. Are they actually young, undiscovered guys you're trying to find? They're not. He had some, incredibly low load, 3%. If you're in the third percentile in load, maybe you want to, get some zinc or speak to your doctor. But that's a very low number. But high rim contest numbers. He doesn't do anything else, though. Passing, terrible. Shot threes, block shots, not quite as good as Quinton Post. Why do I always get that wrong? Quinton Post. But some impressive numbers, nonetheless, from Alex Reese. That we just keep an eye on that in case he's placed into another position like this when there is tanking going on or tanking afoot. But, is he better than Drummond as we move forward? I don't know. Could he be converted off his two-way? That's possible. The other guy had some really big games. Jeff Dowtin Jr. He's played for the Magic in the past. He ended up in Philadelphia on a two-way, and then we had to play the two-way game. That's another lesson from this Sixers season, is that when we were on teams like this, and they were one of the big ones, Brooklyn a little bit, Toronto, Charlotte, we need to be tracking two-way games played. He ended up playing 41 games. He was the 339th ranked player in category leagues, Jeff Dowtin. He is 28 though. Post-deadline, 165th per game. He averaged 7 points with 2 assists. He shot 49 from the field and 40 from 3. But he was very up and down, and he just didn't play every night because they didn't have the games that he could play. He couldn't play all those games. And he's not an up-and-coming, undrafted player out of the last 2 drafts. He's 27 years old. So while he was solid, and he had some moments like Jared Butler's 4 years younger, McCain is there, Maxey is there. No real reason for the Sixers to prioritize Jeff Dowtin. No real reason for other teams, honestly, to prioritize Jeff Dowtin. He's 28 years old. He's a 28-year-old journeyman point guard who shows some times of being good, but when you're putting up good numbers in March and April on a team that's starting Alex Reese or Colin Castleton, well, I'm not going to put much stock into it. So there were some moments we utilized Jeff Dowtin at times for fantasy, but overall, the profile here is not super strong. He was also 90th percentile in terms of time on ball, which you're never going to want to build a team where Jeff Dowtin's in control of everything. It's not going to happen. The deflection numbers are okay. The delta numbers are okay. This was definitely his best run in the NBA, but it is also not something that I care about that much. And that's the veterans on the Sixers. Shout out to your favorite nurses. I reckon nearly everyone watching this show has a nurse in their family somewhere. Everyone knows a nurse. So shout out to nurses. Shout out also to all of you guys who are here, and sorry about, again, the only 3 shows last week. We're going to be rolling out 1 million this week, and we are full steam ahead for the next 2 months up until the NBA draft and free agency. Hit that thumb on the video, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.